Welcome back to Doak Campbell Stadium, where we have this season's SEC opener between Florida State and Ole Miss, as they are meeting for the first time as SEC rivals here at Doak Campbell Stadium tonight. Last week, Florida State had quite an impressive victory over UCLA. It was not a conference game, but still moved them to 1-0 overall. On the other side of the coin, Ole Miss struggled and lost to a Boise State team and got their first loss, but also not in conference last week. The big story from Florida State last week was the play of Luke Kromenhoek. His performance against UCLA gave a lot of confidence to the tune of 90% completions, 4 passing touchdowns to 0 interceptions. Now it's time to see how Luke Kromenhoek can follow up the hype that has followed him this week after that performance against UCLA, and if he can replicate it against a true SEC defense in Ole Miss. In Ole Miss's game against Boise State, it was a 7-point game, but when you look at the stats, Ole Miss probably should have won that game. They outgained Boise by over 100 yards and really did things correctly, so seems like a weird game to lose, but a loss is a loss for them. However, going to this game, that loss did not prevent Lane Kiffin from having some choice words when asked about how the environment at Doak Campbell Stadium was expected to be. He said, quote, "Our guys have played in a lot of big games in SEC environments. Florida State has a good atmosphere, but it's nothing special compared to what our guys have already seen." We have not heard a response from Florida State and company about what they thought of the quotes, but you can imagine that idea of being nothing special has inspired quite a few fans to show up to today's game with a little something to prove against Ole Miss. But it's time for the talk to go away and for the play to come to the field. It is time for kickoff as Ole Miss boots this one away, and it is going to be a touchback as Rodney Hill lets this go into the end zone, and Florida State is going to start with the ball as this is their starting lineup on the offensive side. Along the offensive line, they're going to start their 4 redshirt seniors and a redshirt freshman, Lucas Simmons, at his big size at left tackle, held up very well against a Pac-12 defense in UCLA, and I would continue to watch Lucas Simmons and the work he does on that blind side, trying to protect his true freshman quarterback in Luke Kromenhoek. And then on the skill position side, there are quite a few weapons that we saw in action last week, mainly the combination of Johnny Wilson and Elijah Badger on the outside should continue to provide great targets for Luke Kromenhoek. But this offense is only going to run if Damian Martinez, the man in the middle at the halfback position, continues to get those hard-earned yards and sets up those big pass plays through play action for Luke Kromenhoek, who is going to be the starting quarterback for his second career start, but his first career SEC start today against Ole Miss is definitely a different challenge than what he had in that neutral site game in Orlando against UCLA. The Ole Miss side is very interesting, though, in what they're going to give to the defensive side. They have a lot of strength on the defensive tackle position. 2 redshirt juniors who provide quite a bit of girth in 6'3", 305 and 6'2", 208 from DeSanto Rollins and Akello Stone. I would expect those two to wreak some havoc on the interior of the Florida State offensive line. They're going to have to be able to protect Kromenhoek from that position if they want to have success today. And then, the big player to watch for the Ole Miss linebackers is Suntrain Perkins, 6'3", 220, true sophomore. He is going to come screaming off the edge the entire part of the day and could really wreak havoc against this Florida State offense if they're not careful. And then on the back end, they have a lot of experience, 3 seniors, 1 junior for Ole Miss. The big man to watch is Jadon Candy. 5'11", 180 is a ball hawk back there and is going to make plays if you let him. And Joe Williams, even though he's the lone junior in the backfield, is the man who has a ton of experience and is a playmaker for the Ole Miss DBs. Plenty to watch in today's game. Now let's see how the Florida State offense responds. First play, 1st and 10 for Kromenhoek. He's got a little bit of a bunch formation to his right. They're going to run it up the middle with Martinez. He runs it back that way for 1 yard and sets up a 2nd and 9 now. Johnny Wilson now looks like the man who's going to come in motion. He's going to move from right to left, see if they can get a little better matchup as the DB moves with him from the backfield. Going to check the formation again, see what Luke can do. He's going to roll out to the right-hand side. It looks like he's just going to go and run it, and he's going to run all the way down for 8 yards and set up a 3rd and 1. Didn't like the look he had from the pass formation, so now they're going to come under center. Another run to Martinez, and that's all you have to do sometimes, move the chains. That's 5 yards at a time for Martinez. Sets up a 1st and 10 now. And now he's brought down. His pressure came right up the middle like we had kind of feared in the pregame. DeSanto Rollins really screams at the middle, beats his man on the interior. And now it's a 2nd and 19 for Florida State and puts them behind the sticks. Kromenhoek rolls out to the right and gets brought down before he can get anywhere further than 1 yard. It's now 3rd and 18 for the Florida State offense. Kromenhoek in the pocket, he steps up, delivers a beautiful throw to Johnny Wilson, who picks up 19 when he needs 18, and that's good enough for a Florida State first down. With a run up the middle now to Damian Martinez, he'll get 5 more. It's 2nd and 5 for the Florida State offense. 3 rushes for 11 yards so far for Martinez. Next snap, this time it goes to a counter look to Rodney Hill. He cuts it back towards the middle of the field. He'll get 11 yards, and there seems to be quite a bit of success both through the air and on the ground for Florida State at this point. Now they have an unbalanced look to the outside. Kromenhoek rolls out to the right, tries to escape pressure, throwing to near the end zone, and that's Joel Williams picking it off. He's going to bring this all the way back to the 35-ish yard line, and big play for Ole Miss on a throw down the field that was probably a little ill-advised, but Joel Williams makes the play when he needed to and gets the ball back to Ole Miss. But now it's time for the starting lineups on the other side. The Florida State defensive front is led by the 2 seniors on the interior, C.J. Clark and Darrell Jackson, 6'3", 300 and 6'6", 300 respectively. Those are 2 big boys that can really disrupt the run, and based on what Ole Miss is going to give them, they are going to need the interior guys to provide a stabilizing force and let their edge rushers be able to get to the passer at this point. And then on the linebacker side, you have DJ Lundy and Torres Jones, both who are thicker individuals at 6'1", 210 and 6'1", 232 respectively, but both are redshirt seniors that have seen a lot of football. Then on the back end, I think the man to watch is the true freshman KJ Bolden. Surrounded by 4 other seniors, KJ Bolden is the playmaker in this backfield though. The rest of his guys are solid, but KJ Bolden is the one that can change this game if he is a disruptive force and maybe finds an errant pass from the Ole Miss quarterback that he can capitalize on. But what does the offense look like that they're going to be seeing today? For Ole Miss, it's pretty simple. They have a pretty varied offensive line. They have 3 juniors, so guys who have quite a bit of experience, a senior, and then a redshirt freshman. They're going to be starting at left guard. But that left guard is 6'6", 290, so definitely has the size to hold up for that Ole Miss offensive line. And then when you look at the skill position players, everything revolves around the running back position. Quinshon Judkins, a true junior, is truly one of the best running backs in all of the country. And I think someone else to keep in mind is the tight end Michael Trigg. At 6'3", 240, he's not much of a blocking threat for the offense, but he is a big guy who can make plays downfield in the receiving game, and I would expect Ole Miss quarterback Walker Howard to try and get him in the offense and involved as much as possible. He's a former LSU transfer who is in his 2nd year with the program, and now with his mastery of the offense, let's see how Walker Howard is able to operate this Ole Miss offense against a very experienced FSU defense. Ole Miss going to start on a 1st and 10 shotgun formation with Judkins in the backfield with him. Going to have a man in motion to already start. They're going to have a counter look to Judkins, who just cuts it right back to the inside. Looks like he might have wanted to take it outside, but instead takes it to the inside and trying to follow up on a 172-yard performance last week against Boise State. Play action fake to the outside is thrown behind his man, and Howard is going to start 0 for 1 on today's game. 3rd and 3 now for Ole Miss. They block it up pretty well, but here comes some pressure up the middle, but delivers a beautiful ball to J.J. Henry for 17 yards. He's somebody that didn't have a single catch last week, but gets involved early, 5 minutes to go in the first quarter. Judkins again on a counter look, throws down a defender, and Quinshon Judkins goes for 17 yards on that play. First down now, dumps this off to Judkins again out of the backfield. He won't get first down yardage, but he will get 8, sets up a 2nd and 2 from a full house look. He's going to throw it up near the end zone, and that's not even a competitive throw, not even near a receiver. They're going to go on 3rd and 2, though, to the running game. Judkins gets 5 when he needed 2, so an easy first down for the Ole Miss offense as they're in the red zone. Another rush, this time up the middle. It's stopped by DJ Lundy. They're going to need their linebackers to step up into those gaps, and stopping a guy like Quinshon Judkins is no easy task. And here's J.J. Henry again with a reception. 8 yards later, and he has set up Ole Miss with a 3rd and 1, really nearing the goal line now. Fakes the handoff, and Howard actually finds a way to get first down yardage without getting in the end zone, and they'll be about at the 6-inch yard line after that read option look. Next snap is a handoff to Goodwin. He gets into the end zone. It is a touchdown, Ole Miss, and they have gone up 7-0 in this one early on, and now it's going to be up to Luke Kromenhoek and company to respond to a 7-0 deficit that they're facing at Doak Campbell Stadium, 3:22 to go in the first quarter. Here's a nice route to Badger. He breaks off contact, and he's dashing down the sidelines. He's at the 30, the 20, the 10, 5, brought down at the 2. 73 yards later, Elijah Badger ignites the offense, taking about a 10-yard pass and adding on about 62 yards. First and goal, Florida State. Kromenhoek is now in the shotgun, hands off to Camden Fryer, the wide receiver, coming around on a jet sweep. He'll get nowhere closer. It's second and goal now for Florida State. Cam Davis in the backfield to Kromenhoek. He'll get the carry. He'll get into the end zone untouched. And that is the first career touchdown for Cameron Davis. He finds his way into the end zone. He's getting plenty of congratulations on the bench. He has his first career touchdown. And more importantly, it is a 7-7 ball game. Ole Miss starts their next drive with a run to Judkins. He is tearing up this Florida State run defense so far. 13 more yards onto his tally. 2:15 to go in the first quarter. Judkins breaks first contact, and he will get all the way for another 11 yards and a new set of downs for Ole Miss. 6 rushes for 54 yards so far. He is definitely a problem. Fakes the handoff to Judkins, dumping it off to Henry. Henry is going to get first down yardage for 13 more yards, and he already has 3 catches for 38 yards after a shutout of a week last week. He has proven to be a factor that I don't think Florida State had anticipated so far. Safety blitz on Howard, he dumps it off to Judkins. He'll get about 6-7 yards, and now Ole Miss is still in second and manageable, and he has been the driving force for this entire offense so far, and who can blame him? Goodwin gets a carry, and this time he'll go for no yards. Big improvement for the Florida State defense based on his last carry being a touchdown. 3rd and 3 now for Ole Miss. Howard gets his blitz picked up, and he tries to throw it out to Judkins, but he's not able to stay in bounds. He goes out 1 yard short. Ole Miss opts to go for the field goal and goes up 10-7 and giving Florida State the ball back with 38 seconds to go in the first quarter. This time it's a handoff to Martinez, and he is met in the backfield before he can get going. And that is Suntrain Perkins making a big impact on that play, his first tackle for loss on the day after Martinez's 4th carry. Kromenhoek scrambles out to the right, tries to find his receiver, but overthrows him to the sidelines and sets up a 3rd and 11. Going to be tough to pick up for this offense. Gets a good protection, but overthrows his man. That was a Rondé Gatson trying to cut over the middle, but just purely missed him. And that will be the end of the first quarter in today's matchup. It is a 10-7 Ole Miss lead. They are definitely not scared, and they are bringing a lot of fight to Florida State. All Florida State has mustered is that big receiving play to Elijah Badger so far. The rest of the offense has looked a little disjointed. Ole Miss definitely seems like the team that's more in sync. Let's see how the second quarter goes, and Judkins starts that one just how the first quarter went. A double-digit rush sets up a second inches for Walker Howard and company. He'll hit Lee this time over the middle. Caden Lee gets 8 yards. 1st and 10 Ole Miss, and they are definitely in a rhythm, and they look like they have an offensive identity that's going to be tough for Florida State to stop on the defensive side. Here's Quinshon Judkins for 6 more yards. That'll be 2nd and 4 now. Still staying in those second and manageables has been very key for Ole Miss. They haven't faced a lot of 3rd and longs on the day. Pump fake. Howard throws down the field, and it is knocked away by Matthew Hill. He'll get his first deflection on the day, and he'll defend that pass to bring up a 3rd and 4, a big opportunity for Florida State to get off the field and get the ball back to the offense so they can try and get it going. Howard gets good protection, throws out to the right, and it is picked off by the veteran defensive back, Kevin Knowles III. Tries to make something happen, can't get any extra yards on the interception, but Florida State will get to take over near the 40-yard line, and that is a big play. Happens on 3rd down. Walker Howard tried to force the action a little bit, but either way, it gets Florida State the ball back. Counter look, this time to Rodney Hill. He'll lose a yard on that carry, and now Florida State faces a 2nd and 11 after Tyler Banks' tackle for loss. This time Florida State is in the pistol. Rodney Hill motions out. Kromenhoek gets good protection and just misses his man Camden Fryer on that throw, and after a 90% completion week last week against UCLA, Kromenhoek clearly looks to have a different set of skills in today's game, and it's not coming quite as easy as it was against that UCLA defense. After a couple of hot routes and audibles, Kromenhoek gets the snap. It's 3rd and 11, steps up and throws a little bit behind Kentron Portier, but he adjusts to the ball and is able to get 23 yards with that reception. First down for Florida State. They're in Ole Miss territory. Let's see what they can do. It's going to be a handoff to Davis, and he gets backed up. A lot of traffic in the backfield caused by the Ole Miss front, and that's Perkins again, who is wreaking some havoc back there and making things difficult for the Florida State run game. They're now facing a 2nd and 13, still down 10-7. Here's Damian Martinez with a run up the middle. It's been a while since he's gotten a touch, and he'll take 3 yards on his 5th carry of the day. 3rd and 10 for Florida State, traditional spot for them that they've been in, as he tries to throw and he gets hit as he throws and it falls to the ground. 4th and 10. What will Florida State do at this part of the field? And they're going to opt to actually go for it. Really no point in punting, and you're not giving Ole Miss amazing field position, so might as well see what you can do. It's 4th and 10 for Kromenhoek and company. Gets good protection, and he's going to try and roll out to the right. He beats the defender around the edge, dashing towards the first down, and actually loses the football, but he would have been short anyways. 8 yards on 4th and 10 leads to an Ole Miss turnover on downs, and they get the ball back. 1st and 10 Ole Miss. Handoff this time to Judkins, and he is lit up in the backfield. He will get no gain on that one, and Florida State starts to enforce a little bit of their own physicality there and does not let Judkins just run for double digits, and they stop him again, this time for 3 yards. And now Ole Miss faces a 3rd and 8, and this is what you're going to have to do to this offense is stop the run first and foremost, and then see what you can do with the pass. And Howard is off the mark on 3rd and 8, and Florida State gets the ball back really quickly. Very nice defensive drive for them. Very good progress in terms of stopping the run for that Florida State defensive front. This time it's a handoff to Rodney Hill for Florida State. He'll lose a yard as he has not found a lot of breathing room. 2nd and 11. Throw by Kromenhoek, and he's almost picked off by Jaden Kennedy. One tackle for him and 1 pass deflection on the day, as that was a really nice play. Then we have Kromenhoek throwing out to the left, deflected again. He gets in the passing lane and really could have made a big play if he could have got 2 hands on it, but gets the ball back to Walker Howard and company. They start their drive with a pass to Quinshon Judkins. 6 yards later, it's 2nd and 4 now. Handoff to Judkins. He's moving towards the first down marker, but he'll only get 2 and sets up another 3rd and 2 for Ole Miss. See what they can do from this position. Fakes the handoff to Goodwin, dumps it off to Michael Trigg, and Trigg is able to work his way up the sideline for 10 yards. And that gives Ole Miss a new set of downs, 1st and 10. Pump fake to the right, throwing down the field, and Florida State is able to defend it very nicely. That was the true freshman KJ Bolden getting a couple of hands on it. They knock it away. Sets up a 2nd and 10 for Ole Miss. Here's Howard faking the handoff. He's going to run it himself, getting good blocking. He's able to power through a defender to get to first down yardage. And now Ole Miss has a new set of downs again, already up 10-7, and with under 3 minutes to go in the half, Ole Miss could really put some pressure on with a score here. They're going to hand it off to Goodwin, breaks off a tackle, cuts back up the field, dodges another defender and another, and gets 15, 16 yards on a really nice run that looked like it would have been dead in the backfield for a loss of 3, so almost a net of 20 yards just by a pure force of will by Goodwin there. Then Judkins meets a Florida State defender, that's Matthew Hill, who only allows him to get 2 yards as they started to slow down Judkins. Has been a very nice change for the Florida State defense. Now Brown gets a reception. He'll be able to carry his defender all the way inside the 10-yard line to set up a 1st and goal for Ole Miss. 1:52 to go in this half. Handoff to Judkins, throws off a defender. He'll get 5 yards and sets up a 2nd and goal now. Quinshon Judkins is at the 80-yard mark on the day. 2nd and goal, minute 15 left in the half. He's got a couple of running backs in the backfield with Howard, running the clock down as much as they can. Throwing over, hits Henry. J.J. Henry will have 3 yards. It's now 3rd and goal for the Ole Miss offense. Let's see if Florida State can hold them to a field goal before halftime. Minute 4 left. Throwing to the left, and Michael Trigg is able to make the catch but cannot keep his balance. He'll actually probably lose a yard, and that 4th and goal forces an Ole Miss field goal as they will make a 13-7 lead now. Florida State gets the ball back, under a minute to go. Only 1 timeout after that sequence. 53 seconds remaining. Let's see what the true freshman can conjure up. He's rolling out to the right, seeing what he can find. He sees nothing there, and he'll start dashing towards the sidelines. Won't get out of bounds, but he will get 16 yards. Quick snap on the next play, a little tunnel screen to Elijah Badger, and it looks like he might find 1 yard out of that, and they'll have to call their last timeout after that play. 2nd and 9, Florida State. Only the 4th completion on the day for Luke Kromenhoek so far. Things have definitely not come easy for him. He's able to find Johnny Wilson on a nice route. He throws down a defender and then finds the out-of-bounds markers. He'll get 19 yards. Sets Florida State up with 34 seconds to go. Kromenhoek throwing to Span, who just gets hit a little bit and drops that ball. Not a very strong catch by him, as it's 2nd and 10 now for Florida State. Rolling out to the left this time, trying to avoid defenders, and he's able to hit Deuce Span, but it will go for nothing. A 0-yard reception in the books, but a catch is a catch, I guess, there. 3rd and 10 Florida State now. They're about at the 45-yard line. Kromenhoek seeing what he can get, seeing what's available, dishes it off to Cam Davis. He will come up about 2 yards short on 4th and 2. Going to force a decision for Florida State, and they're going to decide to go for it. 4th and 2, 18 seconds remaining. Martinez able to find some alleys there. Gets 4 yards when he needed to. Florida State's going to have an opportunity now. Time ticking down. 7, 6, 5 seconds. Throwing, and it's deflected away by Trey Washington and sets up a 50-yard field goal for the true freshman Jake Weinberg. We'll see if he can bury it and make this a 3-point game. The kick is up, and it's a beauty staying inside of the goalpost there. That'll make this a 13-10 game, and it has definitely been one for the ages. It was a 10-7 game after one quarter. They exchanged field goals at the end of the quarter, and now it's a 13-10 game. Both teams are clearly fighting tooth and nail for this one. Can't wait to see how the rest of this one plays out. Ole Miss starts 1st and 10. Judkins able to get about 2 yards as Florida State has incrementally gotten better at how they've been defending the run, and I think Ole Miss is going to have to be able to throw the ball a little more effectively if they want to end up actually winning this whole game, and they're going to throw it deep, and it's broken up by Matthew Hill in coverage, and now Ole Miss a 3rd and 8 that they're going to need to convert early on, and a beautiful touch throw to J.J. Henry, who has been quite the factor in the pass game. Add 22 more yards onto his total, and he gets Ole Miss near the 50-yard line, and their offense is back in business. This time a handoff to Goodwin, who just keeps his legs moving and is able to turn what looked like maybe a no gain into a 5-yard gain, and Ole Miss has a 2nd and 5. There's another throw to the sideline to Michael Trigg, beautifully done. 9 yards later, and it's a new set of downs for Ole Miss. Walker Howard has Judkins in motion. Play action, fakes the throw, gonna try and throw off his back foot across the field, and that might be the most ill-advised throw you could possibly think of, but falls harmlessly to the ground. 2nd and 10. Howard drops back, throws to Lee, who has a deflect off his hands and then a Florida State defender's hands. Could have been worse, but could have been better. 3rd and 10 Ole Miss. Howard throwing down the field to Hudson Wolf, beats the safety, beautiful play, sets up a touchdown for the 2nd-string tight end, and he is able to beat that defender for a beautiful play and puts Ole Miss up 20-10, and now Florida State faces a 10-point deficit. They're going to start with Damian Martinez's 8-yard run, and that's a 2nd and 2 now for the Florida State offense. Rodney Hill in the backfield. He tries to get a carry, but he gets caught up with another one of his linemen, and they're going to go down as DeSanto Rollins will get credit for another tackle for loss, as he's been quite a force early on. 3rd and 3 Florida State. Handoff to Martinez. The lanes open up very nicely for him. He'll get another 8 yards, and if Florida State wants to be effective, I think Damian Martinez is going to have a huge role in the second half. About 6:15 remaining in the 3rd quarter. It's a triple option look, and they dish it off to Hill. He's able to get to the sideline and get 5 yards to set them up for a 2nd and 5 as they want to get more manageable situations. They faced a lot of 3rd downs in the first half that were not very easy for them. They're going to get a big gain on that one, though, to Damian Martinez. He picks up big yardage, and now it's a 1st and 10 inside of Ole Miss territory for Florida State after their 10-point deficit. Here's Elijah Badger getting that tunnel screen again, blocked up really nicely. He'll run after catch, and he will get all the way inside the 20-yard line, inside the red zone, and Florida State is in business. And he gets hit now. Kromenhoek hit by the interior pressure. Ball falls harmlessly to the ground, 2nd and 10. Let's see what Florida State has for him now. Throw to the right pylon. There he is, Oronde Gadsden. Beautiful route, beautiful throw. That ball hit him right as he was crossing the plane. Keeps himself in bounds, and Florida State cuts this lead to 20-17. Very nicely done. Beautiful throw from Luke Kromenhoek, and he seems to be having a better half already. Ole Miss starts with Quinshon Judkins, and he loses a yard again, as this Ole Miss running attack has started to slow itself down, and they are going to need some help in the pass game, and they hit J.J. Henry with that pass. He sets up a 3rd and 3. Throw this time again, and it's J.J. Henry hitting the same route practically. 4 yards later, and it's another first down for the Ole Miss offense. They're going to go to another running back, Riscano. He'll pick up about 5, and all of these Ole Miss running backs are great at keeping their legs moving, picking up forward yardage, and not going for a lot of losses when they could. Howard trying to avoid some pressure, but ends up going down for a sack. I think that's the first one that Florida State's gotten today. Joshua Farmer will get in on that one and sets up a 3rd and 10 now for the Ole Miss offense. Let's see if Florida State can get off the field. They dump it off to Michael Trigg. He'll only get about half of the yards back, and it forces a punt back to Florida State. Now let's see if they can get the lead back, down 20-17. They're going to hand off to Damian Martinez. He'll pick up 4, and that's as simple as it can be sometimes. Damian Martinez is a stabilizing force, and I'm kind of surprised they haven't gone more to him. But they will hand off to Rodney Hill. He gets 5 yards, and then Damian Martinez picks up the 3rd and 1 with a 5-yard rush. As it looks like that Ole Miss defensive front is slowing down a little bit as they're able to run right at it. And now it's Cam Davis getting 6 yards as Florida State continues to rotate in their running backs. Screen pass to Johnny Wilson gets 3 yards. Now it's a 3rd and 1, big opportunity for Florida State. Gonna need another conversion, and this time it's Davis. He works his way in the middle of the field. 5 yards later, and Florida State has a first down near midfield. Play action pass. Roll out to the right. Kromenhoek's got plenty of time, plants his feet, throwing to the end zone, and it is picked off. He was throwing to the true freshman Landon Thomas at tight end, but that ball was tracked very nicely. Ole Miss had great coverage on it. Both of the defenders had better chances of catching the ball than Landon Thomas did, and they come down with an interception and give Ole Miss the ball back, still up 20-17. Another Ole Miss drive starts with a Judkins run, and this time it goes for no gain again, and Ole Miss is still trying to keep it moving as much as possible, and Judkins gets 4 yards on 2nd down, but that will give us the end of the quarter, and it is a 4th quarter that is still separated by 3 points. 3rd and 6 for Ole Miss. Florida State trying to get off the field again. Let's see what they can do. Howard gets pretty decent protection, but gets hit as he throws, and J.J. Henry with another reception. Somebody who was a non-factor last week has been so huge as a slot wide receiver for them today, picking up so many first downs on the day. Play action fake, throws to the left-hand side. He's not able to come down with it. 2nd and 10 Ole Miss. 8:40 remaining in this game as time is ticking away. Judkins runs to the outside, having some of the most running room he's had all half. He'll pick up 10 yards, but still coming up inches short, 3rd and inches. Walker Howard dodging a lot of defenders and a lot of traffic, and he's still running, gets all the way down near the 30-yard line after 22 yards. And how did Walker Howard escape all of this traffic? Plenty of defenders were trying to get their hands on him, but Ole Miss blocks it up well enough and sets up Walker Howard to be near the 30-yard line now. 1st and 10 Ole Miss, under 8 minutes to go, up by 3. Howard throwing to the right-hand side. It's Vendravius Jacobs who gets inside the 10. The former Florida State receiver who redshirted last year as a freshman did not get on the field and then transfers to Ole Miss and picks up a big catch when Ole Miss needed it. Gets a little revenge on his former team. Walker Howard now gets it blocked up pretty well, but throws it through the back of the end zone. 2nd and goal. Howard again, good blocking, throws to the left-hand side and probably should have been picked by Shaheem Brown, but still sets up a 3rd and goal. Big opportunity to get a stop again for Florida State, maybe force a field goal. Howard gets good protection, throws to the left, beautiful ball, and it's J.J. Henry deserving of a touchdown with what he's played today. And Ole Miss goes up 27-17 now. After a big kick return, Florida State starts inside the 30-yard line for their drive. Big opportunity to answer back on that score. Kromenhoek sets his feet and throws from outside the pocket. 16 yards later, Elijah Badger has a first down. First down again. Kromenhoek rolling the opposite way, escaping some pressure, throwing and hits Landon Thomas. Looked like he might have been in the end zone, but they're going to rule him out at the 6-inch yard line. 1st and goal Florida State. They answer back within a couple of plays. Touchdown Damian Martinez, and Florida State has recut into the lead. It is a 27-24 game, and both offenses might start getting it cooking now, and it could be a shootout to the end of the game. Ole Miss still up by 3. Howard throws to Lee, who's able to catch a really tough ball in traffic, gets 9 yards. It's 2nd and 1. Dump off to Michael Trigg, the tight end, and he's got room down the sidelines. He'll get inside the 40-yard line 27 yards later, and Ole Miss is in business again as they are really gashing up this Florida State defense. Trigg gets his second consecutive reception. 9 yards later, 2nd and 1 on his 6th catch of the day, as he's been quite a factor here in the second half especially. Judkins trying to find room. He's able to out-angle that defender, gets 10 more yards. And I think Judkins is officially over 100 yards on the day. It has not come easy in the second half, but he has continued to chip away, and they are making quite a bit of progress so far. Kendrick Riscano gets another 4 yards, 2nd and 6 now. Walker Howard has a couple of running backs with him again. Looking, throwing to the left-hand side, and he throws it away. And he's been very not good about trying to keep the ball out of trouble and finding what's there. Finds Judkins this time, 3rd and 6, into the end zone. Just found a weak spot of the zone, and he gets into the end zone there and gives Ole Miss a 34-24 lead, under 5 minutes to go. Pressure on for Kromenhoek. He's able to get rid of that ball just as he's hit, as they now face a 2nd and 10. Kromenhoek rolling out to the right. He hits Damian Martinez out of the backfield. He's able to get a couple extra yards, 15 more yards. Time's ticking away. 4:30 left in this game. Kromenhoek throwing down the middle of the field. He hits Landon Thomas on a beautiful ball. Just an absolute dime of a throw by Luke Kromenhoek. And that is the potential that this team sees and loves out of Luke, as he just stood in there and took a hit as he threw that beautiful ball. Oronde Gadsden gets 2 yards on one of his first catches of the day, but 2 yards later sets up a 2nd and 8, and they find Johnny Wilson in the middle of the field. 6 more yards for him. 3rd and 2, and Damian Martinez runs it in, gets in the end zone, and Florida State cuts the lead to 3 again, but they are going to need a stop on the defensive side and get this ball back. Ole Miss now going to try and run the game away, you would imagine. Instead, they're throwing on 1st down, and it deflects off a tight end's hands and sets up a 2nd and 10. Another throw for Walker Howard. He has plenty of room on the outside. He is going to run all the way inside the 50-yard line. 1st and 10, Ole Miss. They're going to let time tick away. Under 5 seconds left on the play clock. 2:38 remaining in the game. Here's the handoff to Riscano, and he is able to power forward, and he will get about 6 yards with that carry. Couple of running backs in the backfield again with him. Under 2 minutes to go. Florida State holding on to all 3 timeouts, not wanting to make a move with him yet. 2nd and 4 to Riscano, and he is run down, and DJ Lundy is able to get that tackle for loss. That's up 3rd and 7. We are now at 1:15 remaining in the game. Florida State holding on to all 3 timeouts still, trying to get a stop here and probably call a timeout, but instead they block it up beautifully. Riscano gets about 9 when he needed 7, and Florida State will now have to call their timeouts, and I don't think they're even going to have much time if they do get the ball back, but Ole Miss now, 1:08. They're going to run the ball outside, and he stays in bounds, thankfully. He almost got out of bounds, which would have been a disaster for Ole Miss. But 2nd and 4 versus another Florida State timeout. They have 1 remaining. Run up the middle by Riscano. He loses a yard this time. It's a 3rd and 5. Florida State has to stop them here. If they don't, the game is over. They are out of timeouts. Run up the middle, and he will come up about a yard short on that run. And now Ole Miss will kick the field goal, trying to go up by 6. Time's ticking away. They're going to try and wait as long as possible to kick this one. Here comes the snap. 15 seconds to go. Center cut. Beauty of a kick there. They are up 37-31. No timeouts for Florida State. 13 seconds remaining. Kromenhoek making a couple of checks. He's got the snap. He's going to throw it out to the left-hand side as Johnny Wilson works the sideline nicely. A couple of seconds go off the clock. 1st down for Luke Kromenhoek. He's going to roll out to the right. He's got some pressure, and he throws, and it's caught by his lineman. They're saying it was fumbled technically. They're going to say it's a fumble on the field. It wouldn't have mattered anyways, so his lineman had to retrieve it. But that will be the end of the game as it ends unceremoniously with it in the offensive lineman's hands. But what a performance from Ole Miss. They pull off the upset, and Florida State goes down in Game 2 of the season, losing this one 37-31. So that did not go as expected. First, I want to start with when you start a true freshman quarterback, you're going to get all kinds of performances, and I don't think Kromenhoek played bad today, but not as good as the UCLA game. Threw for a lot of yards, but just a couple of situations with accuracy early on that kind of sunk us early in the game. On the running side, we just never got it going. Those are fine averages, but just not enough opportunities there to really get anything going. Didn't have a big dynamic run. The long on the day was 16 yards from Kromenhoek scrambling, so that was disappointing. Receiving side, I really like what some guys were doing for us. Elijah Badger continues to be an X factor when he gets the ball in his hands, had a lot of yards after catch, obviously, and then Johnny Wilson had a nice game, but the other pieces around it, the fact we only got the ball to Rondé Gadsden a couple of times, probably wasn't great in the grand scheme of things, and we tried to distribute the ball as much as possible, but, you know, those numbers kind of bear out there when you look at everything in there and what the opportunities were. And then when you look at the defensive side and kind of what our stats ended up looking like, when you have a safety who's making 12 tackles, it's probably a bad sign. It probably means that the running back is getting into the second level too much, and we didn't have a lot of great answers there. Our linebackers started to do better in the second half. I was calling more cover one with only one deep safety, and we had a lot of help on the running game, and Quinshon Judkins wasn't murdering us in the second half and gave our linebackers a few more opportunities to get in the backfield, and I think that shows up there, but I do want to specifically talk about Ole Miss and how well they played. They were absolutely fantastic today. They really took it to us, and they had quite a few guys that were big factors for them. DeSanto Roland, Suntrain Perkins was in the backfield a lot, getting a lot of tackles for loss, and even when they weren't, they were disruptive and forced a lot of incompletions and just negative plays or no-yard gain plays for us. Walker Howard also, round of applause for that performance. He was really awesome. He threw one bad ball that Kevin Knowles picked off, but overall threw the ball away when he needed to. Good yards per completion average there at 11.5, and I think Walker Howard is underrated. You know, he sees a 90 overall. It's not like he's a bad quarterback, but still disappointing to lose a game like that. And then we gave up, how many of those yards to Quinshon Judkins were in the first half? Probably like 70 or 80. Like, we did a really good job in the second half. I was happy with how that happened, but then they started gashing us in the pass game, and I just didn't adjust properly, honestly. That's where that comes down to, and I decided to try and let them beat us passing, and they ended up doing it. Congrats to them on that game. That was really well done by them, and not in the least bit surprising. And then they have a guy who had no catches last week in J.J. Henry, who lights us up for 9 catches, 98 yards, and a touchdown. That's just the beauty of football sometimes. It's not like I'm upset about it, but it's just kind of funny, and it was also cool to see Vendravius Jacobs, who we were redshirting last year, so you guys didn't get to see, but him transferring to Ole Miss and then had a big catch to get them in the red zone was kind of cool to see, so I at least took that out of the experience of playing Ole Miss, so, you know, some positives, I guess. So small, big picture stuff. I know the episode's already running long, but losing this early into the SEC season, getting an SEC loss is not ideal. The only thing that I take some solace in is Ole Miss has already had a game where they lost to Boise State, so I don't think Ole Miss is going to be impossible, but we do have to keep in mind the rest of the year that even if Ole Miss loses one time, we're going to need them to lose a second time because they now hold the tiebreaker over us in the big picture. So this is a pretty big loss. We're in the same division as them this year, so there's definitely going to be some ramifications, but you know, losses like this keep the dynasty alive and keep things interesting, and I believe next week we're playing North Carolina, who has one of the highest rated quarterbacks in the game, a Georgia transfer, Brock Vandegrift, so there is a good chance that we could see another really good quarterback and could light us up again if we don't make some adjustments. So that'll be the next main game episode, and then the next episode on the channel will be the Week 2 recap video, so be on the lookout for that. I appreciate everybody watching, especially on a longer video like this. I hope you enjoyed it, and go Noles!